question and everything. But we'll ask some of these questions to our next guest. And that is the lovely and talented Sam Amick from The Athletic, brought to you by our friends from Jiffy Lube. Good morning, Sam.
Good morning, Jay. Good to be with you, sir.
Happy early Thanksgiving. What are the Amick plans for Thanksgiving this year?
I'm in town, so that part I'm happy about. We will be doing the low-key. Oh, doggy says hello.
Hello.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, going over to some family, having some family up. Low-key, but should be nice. How about you guys?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, as we're in the same boat, can't get too far with the NBA games going on tonight and on Friday and all that. But family in town too, so yeah, won't be too far. Are you a how much do you participate in the cooking of Thanksgiving?
Well, my wife just closed the door. I'm glad she's not going to hear this part. Pretty much none. I'm a good tester.
Yes.
Quality control participant. So we all have our roles, Jay. You know what I mean?
Someone's got to make sure the food is right for everyone else.
Right. If you need, if you have doubts, come my way. If you want to flex and tell me how amazing it is and make sure that's the case, come my way. I'm looking for it. Yeah.
Yeah. You give them validation.
Yeah.
I think some people right now, Sam, have some doubts about the Sacramento Kings. Obviously, they're going through a rough patch. They've lost 4 in a row. They've got some injuries now to make it a little bit worse. You've been at some of these games, and you've probably seen some of the better versions of the Kings this year and some of the worst versions. Kind of always like to check in you on the state of the Kings. That losing skid has dropped them from 5th to 12th. What are your current thoughts on where the Kings are as we stand today?
Yeah, it's not great. I have been at their, the last couple of games, Brooklyn and OKC. This team had fairly significant expectations, and dropping 4 in a row in the way they have. I mean, some close games, some not very close. I don't know where you want to begin, but it's not good. And it's in a West where, we're seeing some separation here. There's still a lot of parity, but we are seeing some separation in terms of, who's proving to be who we thought they were versus who was not. They've lost kind of their fastball in the last week or 10 days, because even the losses they were taking early, I thought, they were more competitive and you could kind of see who they were at their best more in those games. This is a malaise, and you hear Malik Monk talk about the need to have a team meeting of some sort. Maybe that happens tonight before the Minnesota game, but the vibe does not seem to be too great.
Yeah, now with injuries here, Trey Lyles will be reevaluated in 3 to 4 weeks, and he's really never gotten his season fully going. DeMar DeRozan had a big game the other night, but came in wearing a heating pad around his back, and it looks like he's going to be out at least tonight as well, and he's missed a couple games. And then just overall underperforming with some other guys, some rumors about Jae Crowder coming in, maybe being added to the mix. While they go through these injuries and the bench has been so disappointing, Sam, I don't know where the immediate recovery is for these guys ahead.
No, I mean, it's got to be their core 4 and really 5 when you put Keegan in there. The injuries are tough because the hole might get bigger with these sort of nagging things kind of dragging them down. But up until the past couple of games, I think the feeling internally was that, De'Aaron obviously has played at a very high level. The OKC game was not a great game for him, but, De'Aaron and DeMar, those guys are doing their thing, and Sabonis as well, and that everybody else had to be better. And that's, that includes Herter, that includes Monk, all the way down the line. I think there is frustration with, that second wave once you get past the core.
Yeah, and then, I don't know if it's official. I've seen reports yesterday about Jae Crowder, but, he's been a veteran. There's probably a reason he was available. I don't know if even an addition like that could provide much of a spark at all for the Kings.
Yeah, to me, it's funny. I saw a list that Mark Stein had actually put together of like the best available guys that were unemployed right now. And Jae was number 1 when it comes to forwards. And I just found myself going, all right, so conceivably they're getting the best of that lot. But I mean, Jae's he's a few years removed from really playing impact basketball. So, I don't feel like that's going to come in and be a game changer for them. It does pose a tricky landscape and a tricky question because, and I heard you kind of hinting at it before I jumped on, is like, their best solution is kind of to find a way for this group to just make it work, because everywhere you turn, player, coach, executive, I don't see, any sort of rash decision that puts you down a brighter path. It really, sounds corny, but it does have to start from within.
Yeah, I agree, and I think there are pieces there to do it, but while they're in this rut, and it's a tough one to, like, I don't know, when you're watching them, what do you think is missing? Because I haven't been able to put my entire finger on it, but just you see things. But what do you think when you watch them? What's not clicking?
I mean, the defense is, I don't know where they rank right now, but giving up whatever the final number was to OKC, the rim resistance or lack thereof continues to be an issue. But and De'Aaron's defending at a high level on the wing, but that's not the case across the board. I don't know. It's the same stuff that has plagued them for the last little while. The difference is, in those opening weeks, DeMar played so well that you kind of felt like this was a new, kind of spice that they had added to the mix. And it seemed to work. We had that analysis a couple of weeks ago, Jay, kind of nitpicking about, well, they're not shooting as many threes and what's the impact that, but no, like, stop. Like, DeMar was playing really well. The offense was good. It wasn't where they wanted it to be, but that didn't have the red flags that this has, because now you have, again, the injuries have played a part, but now you have like it's not a matter of the wheels having fallen all the way off, but identity wise and spirit wise, it feels like they've gotten a whole lot farther away from who they want to be.
Yeah, and I don't fault Mike Brown for this, but even, when you get to this spot, it's almost 20 games now, and he did change the starting lineup the other day, and that felt like out of necessity in a sense. They weren't getting production out of Herter, so let's try Keon Ellis. And I understood the move, but like when you're doing that, now you've paired that with some injuries, it does really feel like they're kind of scuffling along right now.
Yeah, it does. And we're looking here at, what is it, November 27th. And the other thing is, like, I know I keep saying the same thing, like, you better figure it out internally, because the truth about the trade market is it doesn't really kick up until December 15th, when the vast majority of contracts within the NBA become eligible to be traded, and teams are going to wait at minimum until that date to start really, really talking about things that could help their teams. So this is, it's not good, because it's too early for them to be falling behind. Now, I don't have the standings in front of me. This is an NBA where, the Bucks can get off to an incredibly terrible start and then be right back in the mix with a 5-game winning streak, things of that nature. So, I mean, they have plenty of time, and they haven't even fallen behind, nearly as much as a team like that. But they got to figure it out.
Yeah, they're in the wrong conference. I mean, I think the other day, let me look at it right now. Yeah, they'd be in 7th in the East, and here they are in 12th and almost in 13th.
Right.
In the West. And kind of to your point, Sam, yeah, there's maybe that trade market's not available for a few more weeks, but do you anticipate, I guess, if they're kind of in this same cycle that they're currently in right now, this doesn't seem like a team that, I'm with you, I think their best answer is within, but if they could get a little jolt there, don't you think they would be more aggressive leaning towards a type of trade if that was available to them?
Yeah, no question. And those discussions internally are already happening. The maybe a few kind of exploratory phone calls here and there. That stuff is constant, is an ongoing process, and different names being considered. But again, that's a long ways off.
Yeah, for sure. So what other observations do you have this early in the season? Surprises, disappointments? Obviously, Philly's been a major disappointment, but just some general thoughts on the league where we are near 20 games in.
I mean, this is recency bias, but as far as what I've been focused on, I mean, it's a good one because it's a national story. But wrote a piece today about the Cavs and about
Mm.
it was it was a fun one to put together because it was inside this meeting between Kenny Atkinson and Donovan Mitchell back in late June that had not really been reported on, and that the more I talked to Donovan last week in Boston when they were in town to play the Celtics, and it was the day that they took their first loss after starting 15-0. Talked to Kenny Atkinson, their first year coach, and basically unpacked how in late June, they, like the Kings, they were this team that had all kinds of issues they had to get through, but they hit the summertime and you had Darius Garland, some chatter about him possibly wanting to be traded and not liking the fit within this group. You had Evan Mobley going the wrong way as a young prospect. They made the coaching change after things with JB Bickerstaff were challenging, for a lot of the season. And so Donovan Mitchell and Kenny Atkinson sit down at this hotel outside of LA in Thousand Oaks. Donovan was out there for his kids' camp. And what I thought was so interesting about learning about the meeting was you had this 5-time All-Star, who is now really sitting down with his new coach for the first time. And he's days away from making a decision on a contract extension. And if he doesn't sign that extension, then the phones are going to ring off the hook and Donovan probably gets traded going into this season. So the onus was on Kenny to paint a picture for him of why, his Cavs life under Kenny was going to be better than it was under JB Bickerstaff. And they, the part that I loved as a writer who loves details was that I said to Donovan, like, okay, Kenny's a smart guy. Did he come with iPads and PowerPoints and ready to kind of wine and dine you and show you from a high-tech sort of, purview what he wants to do? And he's like, bro, he was grabbing the salt and pepper shakers on the table and and just using them as pawns and X's and O's. And he's like, but it was awesome. He's like, it's the kind of thing I've done my whole life with my family, like drawing on a napkin. And Kenny's saying, well, Evan's going to go here, and then the rifle action will take him there, and we're going to have all kinds of cutting. And he just, they connected as basketball minds. And next thing you know, a couple of days later, Donovan was signing the extension, and it's crazy because now you got this team that is 17-1. And not only that, if you look at their cap sheet, they are, better positioned than arguably anybody in the NBA from a contract standpoint to compete at this level without having to make any significant decisions for the next, basically 4 years.
I love that in this day and age of all that technology. It was as simple as right on the table, moving salt, pepper, and all that around, and everybody got it. That's really cool. So that came out today, your piece today?
Yep, that was this morning.
Nice. Well, we encourage everybody to check out all of Sam's work all the time at The Athletic. I know we moved days here today, Sam. We appreciate it. We'll regroup again next Thursday. I hope you and your family have a great Thanksgiving, and thanks for jumping on today, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, Jay. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. That is Sam Amick from The Athletic, brought to you by our friends at Jiffy Lube. We break. We come back. We've got Sean Salisbury joining us